Greetings people, this video is primarily going to be about Tymna the Weaver and how she is changing and having an impact on the format, but also me speculating on how the format's metagame could start to look like in the future and how people might be valuing cards in the future. But also, I want to point out, this is going to be a lot of me speculating and having ideas. And you can draw your own conclusions from the things I'm going to say. But also, I believe a lot of people are going to disagree with what I'm going to say. And that is fine, that is great, that is something I would love to read. If you have any ideas yourself of how the metagame could look like in the future, then just write that in the comments below. So let's talk a little bit about Timna and how she functions. She is a card drawing engine that offers a lot of color identities. What players do is build a full color deck and then look at what is the best option for all the colors I need. And the answer is Timna. This leads to that we have a lot of Timna decks running around out there. And that means that going to combat with your creature cards is a thing. I mean, who doesn't want to draw cards these days? But there is someone who don't want you to draw cards. Your opponents. Preventing Timna from becoming a great value card drawing engine is quite important. It's something I really want to do. So I could be using, let's say, one of my many counter spells to just deny her from entering the battlefield. Well, counter spells are good versus everything, right? You can't have too many of them. But what I actually predict is that people are going to start valuing creature cards for blockers and actually start looking at the stat line. So let's look at this creature card for example. It's a 2/1 first striker, a perfect Timna blocker. Whenever Timna attacks into this creature will just block Timna and kills it. But also, this creature card is still good and still played. You play this versus storm decks and some really fast speed spellcaster decks. I guess Rasaket is a really good example of what I'm trying to say. So let's look at Rasaket. It's an 8/8 flying creature card for 8 mana with a really good ability. And it is the ability that we're actually looking for. I rarely see Rasakets going to combat and attacking. Still, it is an 8/8 creature card. Currently, we don't care about the 8/8 stat line. But I think that in the future, we are going to care about the stat line, the body. So a 2 mana, 2/1 first striker is good versus Timna. And other creature cards' toughness might be important so that they can block Timna. Let's look at another creature card, Deathrite Shaman, a really good creature card. It's a 1/2 for 1 mana. This is a bad stat line versus Timna. So Timna will attack as a 2/2. And let's say that Deathrite Shaman blocks to prevent the card draw. Deathrite Shaman will die and that will be it. And next turn Timna will probably attack again. And then maybe you don't have a blocker. So Deathrite Shaman is definitely a good card, but the stat line isn't going to prevent Timna from becoming a card drawing engine. Let me show you guys one more creature card's ability and stat line. Mind Blade Render from Battle Bonds. Whenever your opponents are dealt combat damage, if any of that damage was dealt by a warrior, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And Mind Blade Render is a 1/3, meaning that Mind Blade Render will be able to block the 2/2 creature card Timna without dying. But also, Mind Blade Render is a card drawing engine in itself, doing the exact same thing as Timna. Not equally as strong, but quite equally good compared to the mana costs. A 2 mana cost creature card. So when I look at this pink nailed Asra warrior, I see 2 things. One thing, first, it can block Timna, being a preventer, an interaction against Timna or Timna variants. Secondary, a card drawing engine, doing the exact same thing as Timna. So it's never going to be a dead card inside my deck, and it's going to be an interaction against a quite common opponent. Timna is quite common. However, I'm making it sound that this is all about Timna, when it's not. It's also about Mind Blade Render, but also this lady in pink, Nylea the Blade Blossom. We did look at her a lot in the beginning of the video, and that was because we were going to be talking about her. I think that Nylea the Blade Blossom is a dangerous commander that you should look out for. But you deal with Nylea and Timna basically the same way, with blockers. And, oh yeah, yes of course, also with creature spot removal. Definitely you can use these cards against both Timna and Nylea and Mind Blade Render. However, you do deal with them basically with blockers as well. So, in my experience, it's quite hard for Nylea or Tymna to do anything when all of your opponents have blockers. They are basically just sitting there and watching the game doing nothing. So what I am basically saying is that it is a more efficient way to deal with Tymna, Nylea, and Mildred, Renderer, etc., and all the different variations with something as a blocker, a stacked creature like Thalia, compared to a spot remover, Swords to Plowshares. Definitely you can use Swords to Plowshares, but I do think I'm going to prefer this one. However, something I do really think is going to happen is that players might be playing more board wipes. That is the other way of dealing with the problem. Instead of having blockers, you could just get rid of every single problem out there. With Pyroclasm, you will kill this problematic creature card Thalia and also kill Timna with just one Pyroclasm 2 mana. Great success. And that kind of brings us to one of my favorite board wipes in the game, Sweltering Suns. When Sweltering Suns is good, it is definitely really good. It's a free mana cost, deal free damage to all creature cards. However, in the scenario that you're going up against free opponents that don't play any creature decks whatsoever, and the board state is pretty empty from creature cards, then you can just cycle this sorcery board wipe away for something better in this specific matchup. And this push of having attack creature cards in this format might also bring this creature card into some cutesy action. So let's say that you have no board state whatsoever. You have no creature cards at all. That means that you are an open target for Tymna. So Tymna is attacking towards you. And in response, you cast Vidillion Click. Target yourself and throw away something from your hand that's useless. And then you want to go to blockers. This has flash, so you can block Tymna in instant speed and doing that surprise ambush attack. We don't care about a 3/1 flyer, we care about destroying Tymna and looting away cards through our deck. Let me also demonstrate one typical scenario in a typical game. So here we have Captain Cece. Let's say that we are playing Captain Cece. We have Tymna over here that's also playing Thrasius. Then we have another mirror matched Tymna Thrasius, and Thrasius is in play. Then we have Teferi's Chainwhale, who has a Winter Orb in play. Now Teferi's Chainwhale is basically a no creature deck whatsoever, meaning that this Tymna will have free shots, free card draw advantage whenever they go up against Teferi. Doesn't matter that we have this blocker right here. Tymna will still be able to attack Teferi and gain the card draw, and that is bad. That is something we don't want to happen. However, it's happening, so Tymna is attacking, going towards Teferi. But we are going to do something with our Captain Cece deck. Before blockers, we are going to cast Beast Within, targeting Winter Orb. Now Beast Within resolves and gives the Teferi Chainwhale a free Beast Elephant this time. So this scenario gives Teferi a blocker, and this creature card will block Timna and kill Timna. Basically, what we achieved is that our Beast Within was able to kill both Tymna and the Winter Orb. Two birds in one stone. Here is another typical scenario. Let's bring Trusty Russaket back into action once more. That 8/8 flying creature card that we didn't care about the stat line. And let's say that we have a Teferi Chainwhale. Now usually Teferi Chainwhale do play Cursed Totem, making it impossible for creatures to activate their ability, making it impossible for Russaket to do anything. Also, sometimes people do play Null Rod, making it impossible to activate artifacts. And basically what we have here is a lockdown scenario. Now Teferi can't activate his Chainwhale and can't combo off and do anything. He can't activate Soul Ring either. And the same goes for Russaket, he can't activate either. Still, Russaket can be turned sideways and sent attacking, going straight forward, going to kill Teferi the normal grindy way with combat damage. That's still possible with creature cards. The artifact Isochron Scepter can't attack. And that is basically a advantage that creature has over artifacts. Summarizing everything, this is basically what I predict. 1. We are going to care more about the stat line of creature cards. Not only what the creature's ability is, but actually what's the power and toughness. That it has a maybe toughness of 3, so that it can survive Timna, and potentially the power of 2, so that it can actually kill Timna. 2. That it has a card drawing ability similar to Timna, both being a blocker and both having the card drawing ability going to combat. I think people are going to value putting creature cards like that into the deck so they can do the same thing even though they're not playing Timna. 3. Because I do think that there are going to be a lot more creature-orientated board states in the future, I think people are going to pick up a little bit more on board vibes, trying to control the board state when they're not playing creature card decks themselves. The reason that I am drawing this conclusion is 1. I think Timna is strong enough to push this kind of metagame forward. But also now that I have seen Mindblade Render and Nylea being printed, I do see a lot more similar game plan strategies involving going to combat, dealing damage to anyone, not caring about who you're attacking. Just as you're attacking anyone, you'll still receive the result you wish. Nylea wish to attack anyone that don't have blockers to accumulate a critical mass of warrior tokens. At least those are my beliefs. I think you have your own. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video and following me. And if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Now take care.